And the longest U.S. federal government shutdown is finally over. An 11-month-old baby boy infected with influenza A died of complications after being hospitalized for more than 2 weeks. Since the influenza season began this summer, the city has logged 18 severe cases and 2 deaths involving children. Before coming down with influenza A, the deceased 11-month-old baby boy had been hospitalized at Kwangwa Hospital because of chronic illnesses. He had fever and cough since October 27th and was later transferred to the pediatric intensive care unit, where he tested positive for influenza A H3 and was later found to have severe pneumonia complications. This marks the second case of influenza-induced death involving a child this year. Health authorities urge schools and parents to arrange for a seasonal flu vaccination for students or children, which can help reduce the risk of severe illness and mortality. Meanwhile, an 11-year-old boy studying at ESF Island School came down with influenza A on Wednesday after attending his school's camping activity last week. Apart from developing a fever and cough with phlegm on Friday, he had lightheadedness on Monday and sought medical attention at a private hospital. The Center for Health Protection sent staff to inspect the school and conduct medical surveillance. 7 of his classmates also tested positive for influenza A while displaying mild symptoms but did not require hospitalization. The observatory forecasts the temperature in the city will drop to 13 degrees Celsius next Wednesday. Weather authorities say an intense replenishment of the northeast monsoon is expected to reach the coast of Guangdong on Monday. The weather over the region will become cool and windy in the middle of the week. With the monsoon moderating, temperatures over the region will rise in the second half of next week. U.S. President Donald Trump signed legislation ending the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. This roughly 2 hours after the U.S. House of Representatives voted to restart disruptive food assistance, pay hundreds of thousands of federal workers, and revive a hobbled air traffic control system. Daniel Rao tells us more.
US President Donald Trump signed a government funding bill Wednesday night ending a record 43-day shutdown that caused financial stress for federal workers who went without paychecks, stranded scores of travelers at airports, and generated long lines at some food banks. The shutdown magnified partisan divisions in Washington as Trump took unprecedented unilateral actions, including cancelling projects and trying to fire federal workers. This in order to pressure Democrats into relenting on their demands. The Republican president blamed the situation on Democrats and suggested voters shouldn't reward the party during next year's midterm elections.
I just want to tell you the country has never been in better shape. We went through this short-term disaster with the Democrats because they thought it would be good politically. And it's an honor now to sign this incredible bill and get our country working again. I just want to tell the American people you should not forget this. When we come up to midterms and other things, don't forget what they've done to our country.
The signing ceremony came just hours after the House passed the measure on a mostly party-line vote of 222 to 209. The Senate had already passed the measure Monday. The legislation is the result of a deal reached by 8 senators who broke ranks with the Democrats after reaching the conclusion that Republicans would not bend and extend the healthcare tax credits. The compromise funds 3 annual spending bills and extends the rest of government funding through January 30th. Republicans promised to hold a vote by mid-December to extend the healthcare subsidies, but there is no guarantee of success. The bill includes a reversal of the firing of federal workers by the Trump administration since the shutdown began. It also protects federal workers against further layoffs through January and guarantees they are paid once the shutdown is over. The bill for the Agriculture Department means people who rely on key food assistance programs will see those benefits funded without threat of interruption through the rest of the budget year. Dunral TV News.
On the eve of the 10th anniversary of the 2015 Paris terrorist attacks, Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo and others gathered at the Place de la République to honor the victims. Since November 8th, Parisians have been invited to leave a candle, a flower, or a note at Place de la République, a symbolic site of remembrance. On November 13th, 2015, 9 Islamic State group gunmen and bombers struck several locations. A bloodbath in the Bataclan and other venues killed 130 people, while 2 survivors who later took their own lives have also been recognized as victims. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called for the removal of Ukraine's justice and energy ministers. This amid a wide-reaching corruption scandal involving the state nuclear power company. Yanni Rao tells us more.
In a video statement on his Telegram channel, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said, among other things, this is a matter of trust, as he urged his Prime Minister to remove his country's Justice Minister Herman Halshenko and Energy Minister Svitlana Grinchuk. Zelensky said he is asking members of parliament to support this decision. The announcement came after Ukraine's anti-corruption agency said it has detained 5 people and identified 7 other suspects in a major graft investigation involving alleged kickbacks worth around $100 million in the energy sector. The Ukrainian National Anti-Corruption Bureau did not identify the suspects. However, it said they include a businessman believed to be the mastermind, a former advisor to the energy minister, and an executive with the power company Energoatom. The agency also accused 8 people of bribery, abuse of office, and possession of disproportionate assets. Top government officials and associates close to Zelensky are believed to be implicated in the scandal. The alleged ringleader of the scheme is a close associate of Zelensky's, Timur Mindic, who was among those charged, according to local media reports. The investigation, which began 15 months ago, was welcomed by Zelensky, who urged officials to cooperate with the probe. Energoatom says the investigation has not disrupted its operations. Zelensky said the existence of any type of legal schemes in his country's energy sector is absolutely unacceptable. He said he will sign a decree imposing sanctions on 2 people included in the corruption investigation, but didn't clarify who. Dan Rowell, TVB News.
And still ahead, 2 monarchs visiting China. Top officials using different dialects to promote local elections. Welcome back. Vice Premier He Lifeng met with Evan Greenberg, Executive Vice Chair of the National Committee on United States-China Relations Board of Directors, and Stephen Orlins, President of the committee in Beijing. He noted that China and the U.S. share vast potential for cooperation on economic and trade fronts. The 2 countries should work together to uphold and implement the important common understandings and outcomes that the 2 heads of state reached at their Busan meeting, enhance cooperation and manage differences so as to maintain the steady development of China-U.S. relations, he said. The committee leaders emphasized the significance of maintaining stable relations between the 2 countries and expressed their willingness to serve as a strong bridge to deepen exchanges and cooperation. President Xi Jinping and his wife Peng Liyuan attended a concert together with King Felipe of Spain and Queen Letizia in Beijing. The concert by the Royal Theatre of Spain was staged at the National Center for the Performing Arts in central Beijing. The King and Queen of Spain began their 4-day state visit to China on Monday at the invitation of President Xi. This is the Spanish King's first trip to China since he ascended to the throne in 2014. Meanwhile, Thai King Vajiralongkorn arrived in Beijing on Thursday, becoming the first reigning monarch of his country to make a state visit to China. That's for a historic 5-day visit to China. The Thai government said the visit is a reflection of the deep-rooted friendship and mutual understanding shared between Thailand and China at all levels. Since his ascension to the throne in 2016, the Thai king had only made 1 official trip abroad to Bhutan. Mainland analysts believe having 2 monarchs visit China in 1 week shows that the country is willing to maintain friendly relations with countries of different political systems and cultures. Residents cleared the debris from their homes in Taiwan after more heavy rain fell from tropical cyclone Fengwang that caused flooding and landslides. A total of 95 people were injured around the island due to the storm that made landfall in southern Pingtung County Wednesday night. Authorities had evacuated over 8,500 people from coastal and mountainous areas as the storm approached. Northern coastal areas around the city of Yilan have had over a meter of rain since Monday. Schools and offices were reopened around Taiwan after 2 days of closure in some areas. As the COP30 climate summit gets underway, a parallel conference is kicking off. The People's Summit began also at Brazil's Belém, hosting activists, environmentalists, and indigenous groups not included in the formal UN gathering. The opening included small protests, singing and dancing, as well as speeches led by indigenous communities from across the Amazon. Indigenous peoples are some of the most impacted by climate change, as many live close to nature. Rising temperatures lead to extreme drought, floods, and desertification. Indigenous groups have maintained and protected lands for millennia, making their environmental stewardship important in the fight against climate change. Syrian investigators believe the theft of several ancient statues dating back to the Roman era from the country's national museum was likely the work of an individual and not an organized gang. The museum was closed after the heist was discovered. It reopened in January as the country recovers from a 14-year civil war and the fall of the Assad dynasty last year. Officials from Syria's Directorate General for Antiques and Museums said that progress has been made in the investigation of the theft and that results are expected soon. The Culture Ministry released a statement with drawings of the 6 missing statues representing the Roman goddess of Venus. The Legislative Council election is on December 7th. The average age of the candidates is around 48 years old. Nearly 30% of them are women. Senior government officials have launched videos promoting the election by urging voters to vote in their native dialects. Mimosanga reports.
A total of 161 candidates will compete for the 90 seats in the upcoming Legislative Council election. Among those who have registered their age, the youngest person is 31 years old, while the average age is about 48. 12 of the 51 people running for geographical constituencies reported to be independent or have no party affiliation. 15 females joined the 8th electoral race, including an all-woman candidate base in the New Territory Southwest constituency. Meanwhile, the government continues to urge voters to cast their ballot. But this time, officials spoke in their native dialects. Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury, Christopher Ho, and Secretary for Education, Chao Yok-lin, spoke in Hokkien. Secretary for Labour and Welfare, Chris Sun, appealed to voters of Shandong descent. And Secretary for Civil Service, Ingrid Yuan, reminded voters to make good use of their ballot in Putonghua. Memos 9, TVB News.
The government will host a large-scale event called Let's Vote. Together We Create the Future Gala on the eve of the polling day for LegCo, with 7 broadcasting outlets airing the show live. The gala's theme song is a remake of singer Aaron Kwok's classic hit, performed by over 70 singers and artists, including National People's Congress Deputy Callie Kwong and singer Alan Tam. To boost voter turnout, the government-hosted gala will be held at the West Kowloon Cultural District on December 6th from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. and will be broadcast live by 7 outlets, including TVB. More details about the arrangement to hand out free tickets will be unveiled in due course. Several corporations and organizations, including Henderson Land, have granted a half-day off for staff on election day. Henderson's chairman, Martin Lee, visited Kwai Hing to hand out flyers to encourage citizens to cast their ballot. The Home Affairs Department on Thursday reminds members of the public that the district services and community care teams have no allowance scheme related to election activities. In a statement, the department said that a care team had received a public inquiry about whether voters would be offered an allowance after casting their ballot on the election day. Authorities condemn the action of spreading false rumors that seek to mislead the public and undermine the fairness and impartiality of the election. The case has been reported to law enforcement agencies. Another locally acquired case of chikungunya fever was reported in Hong Kong on Thursday. As of 5 p.m., 4 local cases were recorded. The case involves a 68-year-old woman who lives in Tung Hei Court, Shau Kei Wan. The Center for Health Protection said the patient first suffered from joint pain on Monday before developing a fever and rash the following day. The woman went to the Eastern Hospital for treatment. Her blood sample was later tested positive for the chikungunya virus. She has no travel history for the past 2 months. The city also recorded another imported case involving an 83-year-old man. And that's the news. Before we go, here's a reminder that our main news tomorrow will again be aired at 10 p.m. Join us then.